Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Brophy, Musically Obsessed. I'm taking a break from report cards. Yes, it's that time again. Doing report cards, and I figure, you know what? I promised my viewers another video, I should say, and I'm going to give it to you. Now, in the background, you are listening to Deep Purple, Made in Europe. This has David Gilmour on vocals, Glenn Hughes in the band, John Lord, Ian Pace, and Richie Blackmore. Kick ass. Purple vinyl, by the way, too. All right, so I'm coming back at you with part 2 of my hard rock and heavy metal cassettes. It was such a popular video, I had like thousands and thousands of views. Just kidding, I think I had 31 people watch it. Anywho, let's get into it. Heaven's Edge. This came out on Columbia in 1990. I don't know too much about Heaven's Edge, but just from the looks of these guys, I'm gonna like it. So if anybody knows anything about Heaven's Edge out there, Mark Evans on lead and background vocals. I'm not sure. Looking forward to listening to that though. This was one of my favorite cassettes growing up. And I talked yesterday in the video about the fold-outs of a cassette. Iron Maiden, Somewhere in Time. I loved, and still love, how this cassette folds out. First of all, I love when they had that back to it. But it's like a present opening up. All the lyrics. Pictures, love that futuristic picture of the band. And if you've watched any of my videos, this happens to be my favorite Iron Maiden album, and now I have it on cassette, CD, and vinyl. I'm special. What else? These guys, I have this on CD as well, and I really like these guys. Jetboy. Of course, the song "Feel the Shake" was the hit, but this whole album is really good. This came out on MCA Records in 1988, so I was 14 years old. And look, I'm 45 and I'm still listening to Jetboy. This band, I used underrated in my other video for some bands, and I'm gonna give the underrated tag to these guys. LA Guns, Hollywood Vampires. This is a great album. If there was such a thing as goth metal, this album would fall into that category. This and Bang Tango are very similar to me. Sort of a gothic metal. And I remember the CD of this came with 3D glasses. So when you looked at the picture, it came to life. Very cool stuff. And they keep making really good albums too. And I believe that Tracy Guns is back in the band now. And so with Philip Lewis on vocals and Tracy Guns on guitar, you cannot go wrong. Lynch Mob, Wicked Sensation. George Lynch's post-Dokken band. Good stuff. More of like a bluesy side to metal. This came out on Elektra in 1990. 1990 seemed to be the year where a lot of these bands were kind of dropping the glam and the makeup and kind of going more for a street look and even more of like a bluesy sound, which made sense because the times were changing. It was just really a couple years before this kind of stuff was just done. For good and bad reasons. Again, nothing against Nirvana, but you know, we all know what happened. All right, this next cassette is kind of interesting. It's called Masters of Metal. And this came out on the Warner Special Product label back in 1990. This is a compilation album. You've got Winger on here, Badlands, Easy-O, Bullet Boys, Mr. Big, Cinderella, Hurricane, Enough's Enough, Britney Fox, LA Guns. Never seen this before, actually. So I never saw it on vinyl or CD, so it's kind of cool to have it on cassette. Masters of Metal comp. I did my video on the Big Four a while back. Of course, we all know Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer, Megadeth. And I wanted to include Testament, Death Angel, and Overkill. Do you know what? I put Creator in that list. But I'm going to change my mind right now because I totally forgot about these guys. And I can't believe I forgot about them. These guys should actually be mentioned in the Big Eight Metal Church. So I'm changing my mind. I'm not changing that video because, you know, thoughts change and we remember and forget things. But I'm taking Creator out of that. And I'm going to include Overkill, of course, Testament, Death Angel, and Metal Church. I don't think I included Metal Church in that video. I'll have to look back and see. But these are great cassettes. This was their first one, just titled Metal Church. I saw these guys live a few years back. Still put on a great show. I mean, this album, Beyond the Black, Metal Church, Gods of Wrath, you know, they do a version of Highway Star on here. Just great. And then The Dark. I always thought that looked like a Stephen King novel. Great 80s cover. This came out in, what year? Well, it's on the Elektra label. 1986. So I was 12 years old. Tons of Bricks. Watch the Children Pray, The Dark, Burial at Sea, Western Alliance. This is a kick-ass album. And Blessing in Disguise. Fake Healer, Rest in Pieces, Badlands. Mike Howe on vocals. Just an amazing vocalist. And he's actually back with the band, and they're still, I have their latest album on CD. I can't remember what it's called, but it's awesome. Like I said, I saw them live, and I am going to put them in the Big Eight. I don't think I included them. That was a crime. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that video. Next, one of my favorite bands from the 80s. I've done a video on these guys before. Motley Crue. Shout at the Devil. Elektra, 1983. Now, in my video, I told you that Too Fast for Love actually is my favorite album, but this is a close second. Heavier than the first album, but they lost some of that that glam punk vibe, but still great. My least favorite Motley Crue album, but I have it on cassette, Theater of Pain. Yeah, you want to see what happened to these guys? I think they got stuck in Poison's dressing room. I mean, this is still a good album. I talked about this in my video. I like City Boy Blues. I like Home Sweet Home. I like Keep Your Eyes on the Money. Louder Than Hell is a heavy song. But there's just some filler on here. Raise Your Hands to Rock. Save Our Souls. I really don't need to hear Smoking in the Boys' Room again. Use It or Lose It. I don't know. Tonight We Need a Lover is a cool song. But overall, it's just, I feel like it's their weakest album. And I know Motley Crue has even stated in interviews that this was sort of a rushed album. I mean, still good, but, you know, not a favorite of mine. Now, I'm going to take you guys back here. I'm going to tell you what my first concert ever was. I was living in Colorado at the time. I saw Poison and Tesla. And I still have the t-shirt from the concert. It's back at my parents' house. I saw it the other day. I should dig it out and show you guys. But Look What the Cat Dragged In is such an awesome album. I love that album. I love the cover. I love the guys in makeup. I think it's a cool look. And then here was the follow-up, Open Up and Say Ah. I just love it that, you know, this is the censored version. Like, we all know what the cover looks like with the guy's tongue. I mean, I don't really think that was that bad, even back in the 80s. But it was still censored. I don't know. It's kind of funny. I mean, this album is like greatest hits. You've got Nothing But a Good Time on here. Look But You Can't Touch, Fallen Angel, Every Rose Has Its Thorn, Your Mama Don't Dance. This was huge for Poison. I think everybody had this cassette. Enigma, 1988. I always love the photos in here. So Poison will always hold a special place in my heart. And I actually think that, you know, I was talking about the concert I saw. It was Winger, Cinderella, Faster Pussycat, and Poison. I remember that fourth band now. This album, I remember the day I picked this up, and I was never that pleased with it. Flesh and Blood. It was like a more adult version of Poison. Of course, I love the song Skinny Bop, Unskinny Bop. This was more of like a bluesy album. I like Ride the Wind, Something to Believe in, of course. But the album really didn't grab me as much as Look What the Cat Dragged In and Open Up and Say Ah. Still a good album, but I actually like the album that followed this, Native Tongue, better. But, you know, still a good album. Couple more here. These guys. Pretty Boy Floyd. These guys were like, if you take glam and you times it by 100, it's Pretty Boy Floyd. This was, and again, listen to the title, Leather Boys with Electric Toys. And they spell it with Z's. Isn't that awesome? This is a great album. If you like Poison, you're gonna love this. Leather Boys with Electric Toys. Rock and Roll is gonna set the night on fire. Wild Angels, Toast of the Town. Rock and Roll Outlaws, Your Mama Won't Know, I Wanna Be With You. I mean, check these guys out. They are just ready for the Sunset Strip. Love Pretty Boy Floyd. I have this on CD as well. Did they come out with an album that followed this? I'm not sure. Strong album, though. My last one for today. This album that I'm going to show you was just very, very, very popular. Rat. out of the cellar. I'm a huge Rat fan. I love Stephen Pearcy's vocals. His vocals were perfect for Rat. He just has that sleazy, just gutter vocal quality. I love it. 1984, boys and girls. I was 10 years old. I mean, Wanted Man, You're in Trouble, Round and Round. Lack of Communication, Back for More, The Morning After. I mean, this is just a kick-ass album. Rat. I also love Dancing Undercover, too. That's a great album as well. All right, so, hey, I'm around 15 minutes again. So this is part 2. I'm probably gonna, I'm gonna do a part 3. Maybe I'll just do it tomorrow and get it over with, and then, we'll move on to bigger and better things. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and listen to music.